Today I'm setting up a new mobile toolkit for the Tacoma. What's going on, everyone? Back with another episode of Stuff and Things. Today I'm going to be setting up a new toolkit coming from Step 22. Now you guys know that as I travel around the country, some things don't always go as planned, and occasionally some things break. Whether it's on my vehicle or someone else's vehicle, I like to have the tools with me to either fix things for myself or to just help other people out. Now before I get into setting up this new kit, if you're unfamiliar with Step 22, there's a good chance that you've seen some of their products scattered throughout my videos, and I'll be leaving a link to their website in the description down below. Some things that I personally use on almost a daily basis, especially while I'm on the road, are some things like this. Right here is the Step 22 Tortoise Toiletry Kit. This is sort of like a semi-hard bag. They also have a hedgehog roll if you like a more traditional like roll-up type of toiletry bag. I personally like this one because it opens up flat like this. Again, it is kind of hard-sided. You got a bunch of different pouches to keep things in, even a little mirror, and you can actually hang this thing up. I typically hang this up inside of my van. That way I have quick access to my toothbrush, deodorant, and whatever else I may keep in this bag. Now another one of their products that I use almost on the regular are these right here. This is the Stingray Flat Box, and they also make a smaller version of this. This big one lives here on my desk, and I basically use it as a giant dump pouch to just sort of throw things into. In here right now I have some extra action cameras, some little dongles to get all of my information over onto my computer. I got memory cards and things like that. The one that I use in my truck right now actually houses all of my Dometic chargers. So I have a PLB 40 charger in there. I have different connections to connect solar to that. I have the charger for my fridge. I have phone chargers in there, and I basically use it as a little like battery bank to store all of my cables and electronic stuff that I need while I'm on the road. What's cool about the flat box is that if you are not using it and you don't have anything in it, you can actually fold it completely flat and just stash it under a seat. So a lot of cool products coming from Step 22. This one, however, is my favorite. This is the Pangolin tool roll, and I actually have a black version of this in my van with a full toolkit in it. I actually use it in the van and even in the garage as well. I've been storing a full mechanics tool set in one of these as I travel around in the van, and I was actually using this in my garage too before I even had a workbench or sort of like a tool chest in my garage. So these things from my perspective are tried and true. I've been using mine for probably like a year and a half as I travel around the country, but today this one's a little bit different. They released a black multicam version of this tool roll, so I'm gonna walk you guys through how I set this thing up, and maybe it will give you some ideas. That way you can travel around with tools in your truck, in your van, in your car, wherever you may need tools. Now the reason I like having a tool roll is because when you're traveling around in a vehicle, carrying around a big hard-sided case similar to this right here, which I'm gonna be putting in this bag today, it's just a little bit cumbersome. It's kind of hard to find a place to store a big kit like this, and everything in here. A 105-piece mechanic set coming from Husky is going to fit in this bag with plenty of room to spare. So let's take a look at the actual bag itself. This one happens to be made out of a Cordura nylon, and if you're familiar with Vertex bags or a lot of other high quality gear, this is some bomb-proof material. It has a little cinch tab on top, which I will show you once we load this thing up, and this is designed to lay flat. Whoa. So once this thing is loaded up with tools, you can lay it flat on the ground, on a workbench, wherever you may be using your tools. What's cool about it is that once everything is loaded up in here, you can pick it up and move it around wherever you need it. So if you're sliding underneath your truck to fix something that broke, you can have your entire toolkit with you no matter where you go. Starting with the outside of the roll, when you have all of your tools actually rolled out and you are working on things, this basically functions as a giant dump bag. So whenever you're pulling tools out of the bag and you got the wrong size, or you need something else, maybe you're pulling bolts off of your truck, this is a nice like big dump pouch to just sort of stash stuff in. That way you're not losing it in the dirt. Then moving into the actual tool section, there are 3 different sections here. This one is actually sewn into the bag, so this one will be remaining exactly where it is. Nice long zippers, YKK, they have some really nice pull tabs on here. And then as we move to the other 2, these are actually completely removable. Now the way you're gonna see me set this up is going to be almost exactly how I set up the one that I keep in my van full time. I keep a metric bag as well as a standard bag, which I will probably use this for. This one has a clear coated mesh pocket on it, that way you can actually see inside of there to find whatever you're trying to grab. On the very outside here, you have 2 more mesh pockets, that way you can see all of the tools inside of there. And then this thing is probably my favorite. This is actually a wrench roll that lives inside of the bag. So if I pull this Velcro off here, if you didn't want a full toolkit, you could just have wrenches with you. But this thing does have Velcro on it, so it will clip right into the bag over there. There's a little ring right here which keeps everything secure, and you can cinch that down depending on how many tools you have in it. Look at all that multicam Kadora on there. So there are individual pockets all throughout this, going from smaller wrench sizes over here, and then you can load up the big boys all the way out the side. And then if you flip this thing upside down, I typically use this for all the little extensions and really small wrenches that I might not want to lose. So let's get this thing loaded up. Now I chose to pick up this 105 piece mechanic set coming from Husky. It is their universal socket, so they're a little bit different than their standard. Again, this thing is just way too big to keep in your vehicle full time, and then you have like this little foam piece that keeps things from flying around, so it's just not a good way to keep tools. We're gonna be taking all of these black tools right here and loading them up in the bag. I guess we'll start with the wrenches. First, I'm gonna start with the big old standard. So right here we have a 3/4. And now for the metric, we have a 16 all the way down to an 8mm. So you just gotta pick and choose and lay things out however you want. I have my standard over here and my metric in the middle because I use metric more than anything else. Now while we are here, I'm also going to remove all of these ratchets because these are the most common thing that I use as well. And those are some big suckers right there. You can see the 1/2" drive just barely fits, but it does, and this is how I have my other roll set up as well. Now like I mentioned, I like to use a small part for all of the extensions, so I'll get these loaded up. Just like that right there, and I still have a lot of room left over in the wrench roll. Now that I've got all my wrenches and ratchets loaded up, I can simply Velcro this right into place. Now next up, we've got a ton of sockets here, and in the past, actually in the roll that I keep in my van, I just sort of divvy them up loosely into their pockets, so I have metric and standard, and then one for just sort of like everything else. Instead of letting them just float around in their pockets, I got these little socket organizers here, so I'm gonna sort of slap everything on here in order. That way I can drop individual ones into the pockets and I can find them a lot easier than just digging through everything. So for the smallest pieces right here, I have some deep sockets that are standard and then some shorter ones, also standard, keeping all of them nice and neat together. Now here I have some shallow metric sockets, and I just realized that I probably should have picked up more of these because I have even more deep sockets that I'm gonna have to, for now, just throw loosely into the bag. Here I have the 3/8 drive standard shallow sockets, as well as the 1/2" drive big boy sockets. Here we have the deep metric sockets and the shallow metric big boy sockets. Now that I've gotten all of those loaded up in the organizers, I realize that I do need a few more, so for the rest of these I'm going to be using the clear compartment, and we're just gonna dump these in there temporarily. This is gonna kind of drive my OCD insane, but eventually I'll get some more, that way I can keep these things organized just a little bit better. Now for the rest of the remaining tools, we have a few different bit drivers and connections and things like that. I'm just going to use the clear mesh pouches on the outside. And again, I'm just gonna drop those in there, that way I can see where everything is and get quick access to it whenever I may need it. So now that this big old clunky box is completely empty, we can go ahead and recycle that. Now I'll take the roll and just roll it right up. Once everything is nice and neat, it sort of folds over onto itself into the bag. 2 really big reinforced grab handles, and there you go. 105 piece mechanic set, all in this tiny little package, as opposed to this big old box right here. And this thing will store super nicely under a seat, in the bed of your truck, or wherever you may need it. Now to keep this thing even a little bit more secure, you do have a little cinch handle on the top here. You don't want to over cinch this because you may damage the bag, so it's basically just to sort of keep it in its shape, and then whenever you need access to the tools, you pull on the opposite, and then this entire thing will roll out. You can lay it flat and get to work. So that right there is how I like to set up my toolkits for my different vehicles. I also, again, use this in my garage. So it's just a really quick, nice and organized way to keep all of your tools nice and secure. These bags are super rugged and durable. Again, I've been using my other one for about 1.5 years. So this one will probably live in my truck for the truck's entire life. So there's a good chance you will see this in a future video, and if you guys have any questions on any Step 22 gear, let me know in the comments down below. Again, I'll be leaving links for all this stuff down there, and hopefully this gave you some ideas on how to set up a toolkit for yourself. That's all that I had for today. If you guys are new to the channel, consider clicking subscribe because I make new videos every week. As always, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you in the next one.